So far in my life, I've had 4 things that have happened to me that all seem to occur around the last 2 years. But before I tell you about my incidents, I'll give you a detailed description about me and the area that I live in. My name is Adrian. I'm a Hispanic teenager from Fresno, California, and I used to live in the Bay Area. First of all, I'll give you some information, because the info will be useful later on for the stories. I was born in San Francisco, and my family lived there until I was 2. We moved to Fresno in Central California before my younger brother was born. I can straight up tell you right off the bat that Fresno is one of the most ghetto places outside of the Los Angeles area. It's not a great city to raise your children in. It's ugly compared to San Francisco. It's a massively run-down, gang-infested city filled with gated houses, graffiti-covered alleyways, lots of homeless people, and really scary stuff. Every day you get the usual news of someone getting robbed at gunpoint, shot, stabbed, fucked up murders of innocent kids by gangs, or just flat-out weird stuff. It's basically a mini Compton in the middle of California, literally. I live pretty far from all that crazy shit that happens around the center of town. We live in a cul-de-sac neighborhood, which is pretty quiet, as it's a large suburban area at the very edge of the city, near the highway, and stuff that happens over there is really rare. Until I was proven wrong. Now enough with the background, let's dive straight into the stories. One night around December of 2014, before I got out for Christmas break, I was sitting up on a Friday night. I was inside my room playing on my Xbox 360 while my little brother was in his bedroom behind me, and my mom was in the living room watching TV. I had a young husky named Caliman. At the time, he was our guard dog until he ran away. I was minding my own business until I heard him barking outside. I brushed it off as I thought he was overreacting to his first time seeing a raccoon or a possum along the fence. He kept barking non-stop for minutes on end. Eventually, I grew tired of him barking, so I told him to go to bed and shut up. But I didn't realize the rattling and the shaking of the backyard gate. By now, I was really paranoid of what the hell that was. I still kept playing GTA 5 until my mom opened the door to my room. Her face looked like she saw something really unpleasant that shook her up. She was slightly panting until I asked her what was going on. She said that she saw someone running across our front yard towards the back gate. My heart felt like I swallowed it down my throat and into my stomach. I asked her, how did you see them if all the window blinds are closed? She said that she keeps the very bottom blind cracked open to see if there's anyone approaching the house. My mom told me and my little brother to get out of our rooms, since they were the first couple of rooms near the back gate, and told us to hide in her bedroom down the hall while she went to the garage to pick up my dad's machete, my metal baseball bat, and her antique obsidian knife from Mexico to defend ourselves. She had all the doors locked to the house before this, so she shut off all the lights. I closed the door quietly and locked it as I stayed in her room, scared to death of what was going to happen to us. I prayed to God in Spanish quietly, since I didn't want to die young in my life. We still heard Caliman's barking from the other side of the yard until it became dead quiet. I was scared. I didn't know if Caliman had stopped on his own or something worse. Soon I fell asleep with a baseball bat by my side. The next morning we checked around the house. Caliman was still alive and okay, but my mom had the same face that she had last night. She got a phone call from our neighbor Tivon, 2 houses up the cul-de-sac from us. Her house had been robbed that night, because her garage door was busted and the robber was able to barge in her house and steal her husband's computer and lots of her money. I felt so bad for her because she had herself and her family in danger from that creep. From then on, my mom gave us a weapon to defend ourselves if anything like this ever happened again. The second scary incident happened the next year, in early 2015. I was finishing my game and decided to watch some TV with my mom to keep her company. It was around 9:50 p.m. when we got a ring from the doorbell. I knew that this couldn't be my dad. Dad does not come home around this time during the weekend, when he comes back from working as a semi-truck driver, going up as far north as Salt Lake City, just for us to have food on the table. Plus, he always had a way of ringing the doorbell so that we could recognize that it was him. I knew that this wasn't my dad. Mom told me to stay on the sofa as she walked to the door. She said in a gentle voice, "Hello? Is anyone there?" I heard a chilling response from the other side of the door. An old, shaky, unfamiliar voice said, "It's me. I'm your neighbor. I need something. Can you let me in your house?" Mom and I were scared shitless, as we knew our neighbors really well, and this man did not sound familiar at all. I looked through the blinds and saw a filthy-looking homeless man who looked like he was in his early 50s. He had bags underneath his dark eyes and was shaking like he was a twitchy mouse. He looked like a heavy meth head. When my mom responded, "What neighbor?" the creepy motherfucker didn't say shit after her question. He looked like a dumbass compared to my mother's sharp wit. My mom was annoyed and bothered by this stupid shithead and said, "Get away from my house or I'll call the cops to come arrest you. You have no business being here. Go the hell away." My mom isn't an asshole when it comes to people at our door, but if it's a sketchy person, she easily can sniff them out. The man quickly and aggressively tried to come in, jiggling the doorknob. But he looked too weak to even push the door. Eventually he gave up, and we heard this creep's footsteps hastily and clumsily walking away from our door and our house. I knew that it was some sort of creepy homeless dude just by the sound of his voice. I'm not saying that all homeless people are creepy, but he was definitely strange since he wanted to come in our house at 10 o'clock at night and possibly do something unpleasant to us. I can easily tell the difference between an innocent homeless person asking for money to buy food and a deranged one who would harm someone to get the money. But the homeless people here all live in downtown southern Fresno, which is far away, and it's rare that you see them up here. But luckily, Mom isn't stupid when it comes to this kind of bullshit. The scary shit doesn't seem to end for me. Fuck, it never seems to go away here in Fresno. Across the cul-de-sac from me, there's a house which looks like it's in pretty good condition. However, the person that lives there is really freaky to me. His car never seems to leave his driveway, and his windows and doors are always closed. And the worst part is that he never takes a single step outside of his house. Anyways, it was 1:20 in the afternoon. I was going into my junior year in high school. I was ready to practice driving on the roads outside of Fresno with my dad. As soon as me and him started walking out of the garage towards my grandfather's Toyota Camry, we saw what I supposed was the dude from the house standing outside. He was wearing a black hoodie jacket with a hood over his head. He had on old dirty jeans and was facing his car. He just freakishly stood there like a statue, not even moving a single muscle. My freakometer was ringing. I walked to my grandpa's car with my dad and prepared to drive out of our street. I asked my dad in Spanish, "Who is that? The neighbor? Or is it someone who's looking for trouble?" My dad responded to me in Spanish that he wasn't sure. He told me not to look at him as I made a U-turn around the cul-de-sac to get out. I slightly moved my eyes to look at him, and he looked back at me. with his barely visible eyes. He looked at me as if he had some type of weird intention. My dad scolded me for not paying attention. I told him that I couldn't help it and that I was freaked out. When we came back around 3:45, the weird-ass motherfucker was gone. I think he decided to retreat back to his house like the hermit crab that he was. I told my little brother about it, and he said that he used to feel scared whenever he played outside on the street with his friends, as he could see the blinds slightly opened. I feel so annoyed that this fucking hermit's presence is near me. How the fuck does he buy food if he runs out? Or how the hell does he pay his damn bills to his house? I personally want to smash the fucking pedophile's head out with my bat. And just recently this Monday, I saw him sitting slouched like a hunchback on his walkway, with his hoodie covering his upper face while I was taking out the trash bins. He just seemed to stare at me with a blank expression, like if that was his intention. I locked the backyard gate and sped walked back to the garage and shut it. He always made me feel uneasy, and I just hope he moves or relocates somewhere else. I thought everything creepy that happened to me would stop, but sadly, it shifted over to my little brother. We'll call him Isma. A few months ago in October, Isma had gotten repetitive phone calls from an unknown number when he got his first phone. He said that the number would call him twice, or even 5 times a day. This was very unusual, and I told him that I'll block the number. I was pissed when I found out that I couldn't block an unknown number. And FYI, Isma's phone is an iPhone 5S. After this bullshit, I told Isma firmly that if that number calls him again when I'm around, to come get me so that I can talk with this moron. 3 days passed. I was with my mom to go pick him up from his school. He came over and I hugged and kissed him. Don't mind that. Passionate love for your family members is strong in Mexican or Hispanic heritage. How was your day, Isma? He replied to me. It was great, but I looked at Isma's face. He looked scared and nervously shy. I asked him, ¿Qué pasa? Did that stupid number call you again? He said to me in a nervous voice, Well, yes. That number called me 3 times. One during my second period, the next one during my 4th period, and the last one at lunch. It feels... Our conversation was interrupted by the rumbling of Isma's phone. I grabbed the phone and said, Hello? Who is this? All I heard on the other side of the phone was faint breathing. I instantly hung up. I said to Mom, that unknown number was an actual person. Mom said, Well, then who was it? I said back, All I heard was breathing. My mom's reaction looked like she jumped for a second while she was driving. She said if that creep calls again, have me or Dad pick up and answer the call. The next day was Saturday. I was helping my dad in the backyard when Isma opened his window and told me to come over and that the man was calling him again. I ran over to my brother's window and picked up the phone and said, Hello? Who in the fucking hell are you? A raspy, decrepit voice of an old man that sounded like he was in his 50s said back, I'm trying to look for my kid. Have you seen him? All I want is my kid. He's a naughty little boy. I looked at the gate to see if someone was looking at me. There was no one. I raged back at him. Listen, you sick fuck. There's no kid you are missing. Don't call this number back again, or I'll fuck you up and make you look like an accident. Just before I was about to say some more, I heard laughing, and the man hung up instantly. He sounded like he wanted to kidnap my little brother. He was only 12. I hugged my little brother and told him that I'll hurt that man if he ever lays a finger on him. He appeared to be stalking my little brother while he was at school. The next day, on Sunday, me, Isma, Dad, and Mom were all going to eat at a nearby Wendy's, and you guessed it, the sick fuck called him again. By this, I was pissed beyond belief. I told my dad in Spanish. Again, Dad speaks more Spanish, but he does know a good amount of English. Papi, this cabron has been calling Isma for weeks. Can you deal with this pendejo? I looked around to see if anyone sketchy was tailgating us. The fucking pedophile was saying the same shit he said before. My dad said yes, and I gave him the phone. Dad's alarm bells were ringing, and he said sternly and angrily, "Listen, pal, I have no clue who you are, but please stop calling this fucking number." The dumbass consistently tried to interrupt my dad. No, listen, you stupid fuck. Don't ever call this fucking number again, or I will have the policía deal with you, and you'll have to deal with me personally. Shut up, okay? Have a nice day. Chingase puta madre. The pedophile stopped calling Isma ever since then, and I'm glad. So those were my 4 scary stories. Right after I graduate high school, I plan on moving and going to college in San Francisco, where I feel more at home, and a lot safer. I honestly hate Fresno's violent and creepy atmosphere compared to the bustling safety of San Francisco, and up to this day I still live in paranoia of my surroundings. So I guess your lesson from me is that we live in a world with really scary and sick-minded people. Even though we may not like them, they're always going to share this world with us. And to the burglar, the creepy-ass homeless man, and the hermit crab neighbor, let's never meet again. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please share, like, and comment, and become part of the unity by hitting the subscribe button. If you have a scary story that you would like to share, be sure to send it to my email or post it on the free horror stories subreddit. Consider donating to this channel and be sure to follow me on Twitter. And until next time, stay spooky and never forget, there's always a reason to be afraid.